Ying Carpenter. I am an instructor in the Department of Chemistry. I came to that position, I traveled a lot for my schooling, so I started out with an undergrad degree at UBC, and then I did a PhD in synthetic inorganic chemistry out at Dalhousie, so I moved from coast to coast, and I studied phosphorus chemistry when I was there, lots of things that caught fire. And then I did a postdoc down at the University of Colorado in Boulder, developing interactive simulations for learning. So currently I teach mostly Chem 203, the sort of equilibrium and change half of our general chemistry stream, and I also teach in the ASHA program. I teach the invention course in second year. So if you ask me my biggest academic accomplishment, initially I would have thought it was a published paper or an award I'd won, but I'm actually proudest of the work that I did developing sims with the PhET Interactive Simulations Project when I was a postdoc in Boulder, because those are freely available around the world, and so there's millions of students using them in academic settings from middle school through till university, so I'm proudest of that. So I think I was inspired to go into chemistry by a really amazing high school teacher, and I thought that I wanted to do research behind the benchtop, develop new chemicals, all that sort of stuff. And it wasn't until after grad school that I realized the thing that I was most passionate about was teaching. Like all of the things that I was proudest of, all of my best stories that I told were about teaching. And so that was the moment when I decided I wanted to teach for the rest of my life. So if I had to choose my dream job, I would actually kind of smush together the two last jobs that I've had. I would take the teaching piece that I've got now here at the U of C, minus some of the administrative tasks, and I would add on some of the amazing work that I got to do when I was down at the University of Colorado developing these resources that are freely accessible. So when I was an undergrad student, even early on, I was super keen on the subjects that I was in. I was that kind of nerd that was like, oh man, this fact in math is super cool and I really want to investigate it. But when I started out, like when I was like in first year and stuff, I was also kind of a big keener. I like really wanted to get that A. I really wanted every point on that test. And it wasn't until stuff got harder and stuff got more interesting that I realized the part that I cared about wasn't getting the best grades, it was getting to dig in and getting to interact with really amazing profs and other students. So if I had to narrow down something that drives me crazy that students do, I can't narrow it down to one thing, but there's two. One is sort of big picture. I hate that students come in with the attitude of, I can't do this because I wasn't good at it in the past. So like they'll come in and they'll just say, oh, I'm just not a math person, or like I've done really poorly in chemistry, and they just shoot themselves in the foot instead of sort of saying, well, I'm not good at this yet, is sort of what I try and encourage students to say. So that's sort of like big picture. On the flip side, in the teeny tiny like pet peeve land, I actually hate the titles Miss or Mrs. They drive me a little bit crazy, partially because women in science tend to get a lot less use of titles like doctor and professor. Like there's research studies on this, so it drives me crazy. I would rather people called me by my first name, Yun Ying, and skipped all of the gendered titles. All right, when I am not sciencing and teaching, I've taken up sort of two big passions outside of work. One of those is I picked up bike racing last summer, so I race road bikes, not well. I tend to end up last in most of my races so far, so maybe better next year, train for that. And the other thing that I love to do is I do circus aerials. So I do trapeze and fabric, and I spend a lot of time very high up in the air hanging upside down. So when I think about the craziest things that I've ever done, it either goes in line with this kind of circus stuff, doing like drops from 20-foot ceilings and stuff, kind of crazy, but that actually scares me less than when I was in grad school, because we worked with stuff that caught fire in air. I got good at using fire extinguishers, so I'm actually pretty good to have around if you have a fire. So it might seem a bit weird, but I am pretty afraid of heights, which seems odd given that I have said that I do circus things like 20 feet in the air. I am fine if I'm holding on to stuff, because I trust my own hands, but as soon as I'm on like even the tiniest step ladder that like it wiggles a little bit, I could be 2 feet off the ground and I'm completely freaked out by that. So my partner and I don't own any pets ourselves, but we post a lot of pictures of this cat, and friends of ours ask us, but we thought you didn't have a cat, and we call Asterix our shared custody kitty because he actually belongs to Keith's mom, but she travels a lot, so for months at a time we have a cat, just not ours. So it's too many to narrow down just one favorite, but lately, TV-wise, I've been watching a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine and a lot of The Good Place. Both have that sort of dark hilarity to them that I'm a big fan of. I love so many different kinds of junk food, it is hard to narrow it down, but currently I'm really craving cinnamon buns, like the kind that you get at Cinnabon and you walk past and you can smell it from a distance. That's my craving right now. So my list of 3 things that I can't live without has changed a lot over the years, but I'd say nowadays it's probably challenges, like so things that actually make me struggle to find the answers, so that can be at work or outside of work. It is fresh air and time outside, so when I can't be on my bike in the winter, that's a big struggle for me. And then last but not least, it turns out I'm more of a people person than I thought. So if I go a really long time without being able to be social, it just makes me kind of crazy. So I always target 8 to 8.5 hours of sleep, and there are points in the term when I'm getting that, but I'd say right about now we're probably averaging about 7 hours a night, which is not terrible, but it's not what I actually need. So if I think about students coming away from my class and just taking away one thing, it wouldn't actually be a piece of content. Like, I love chemistry and I would love if everybody walked away with more of an appreciation of that, but truthfully, I would rather they came out with more of a sense of their capacity to learn and grow. So if they come away with a new skill set in chemistry, that's great. If they come away with a new skill set in communicating information, that's great. But I kind of want them to start out and say, you know, I can do more than I can right now. And so if they come away with a better sense that they can do something and overcome something, that's what I'd love. So if I wanted to think about advice as you're trucking through your degree, I'd say one of the biggest things is being willing to change your mind about what you think you want to do. Because oftentimes we come into our degrees and we think, you know, I'm really good at this particular subject, and so I should go and do that as a career. And that doesn't mean you're going to find a career that you're going to love to do long term, and that doesn't even mean that going through your degree you're always going to be good at that skill. We always hit a point when stuff gets hard, and that's okay, and everybody hits that. And frankly, that was one of the best pieces of advice that I got from one of my math profs when I was an undergrad, was this idea that, hey, you might be pretty good at this right now, but it's okay to struggle with it. So that idea of being willing to change your perception of your capacity, but also what you think you want to do in life. You maybe want to be a doctor now, but maybe it turns out you still want to be in the health professions, but in a different capacity than you originally thought. So being open to exploring that. If you're interested in seeing what research is like, because that's a great thing to do while you're doing your university degree, one of the first things that I'd say is start approaching your profs. Like, usually right at the start of any term, folks talk about what they're doing. That might be active research projects, that might be research projects they've done in the past, and if that sounds kind of neat to you, schedule a time to come and chat with them. You have no idea how long any given faculty member could ramble about their own research. They want to talk about that, so they're always stoked to talk to you about that. And just see, do they have undergrad positions available in their lab over the summer, for example? Or can you do a senior research project? So in the chemistry department, we've got Chem 402 and 502 projects. There's lots of spaces that are open for students to try something out. And again, being willing to change what you think you're interested in. It's okay to try a project for a summer and then decide, you know what, I don't actually want to spend my life pipetting. I want to do something that involves people, or I want to do some more coding. There's opportunities within a given field that involve all sorts of different skills. So probably my favorite chemistry joke of all time, probably because I love puns, is a neutron walks into a bar. The bartender says, "For you, no charge."